Joining me now from Tallahassee, Florida is Kurt Piehler, Associate History Professor and Director of the Institute on World War II at Florida State University. Kurt, explain this to me. Shinzo Abe has used words like profound grief. He has used the words sincere condolences for his country's wartime aggression. Why not just come out and formally use the words apologize or say, we are sorry for what happened during World War II? It's been 71 years. Can you explain this to me?
I personally find it hard I find it hard that the Japanese Prime Minister, or even more to the point, the Emperor, has never formally given an apology and has used these sort of semantic terms, regret and so forth. I think an apology, very similar to what the West German president did in 1985, would really clear the air. But I know he faces still lingering political opposition on the right to making such an apology.
But despite that opposition on the right, isn't this something that is the right thing to do?
I would agree. I would agree that apology would be the right thing to do. And I also think in the long-term interest of stability in East Asia would be a very good thing to do for diplomatic relations for Japan.
So let's talk.
I wish Japan could.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wish Japan could really put World War II behind it and really come to a full reckoning. Now, I would say the left in Japan has a full reckoning. And Japanese are very divided over the legacy of World War II.
Let's talk about Emperor Akihito, who you mentioned. Again, he's used words like deep remorse. Last year was the first time we use that frame. Again, at least he's using a little bit stronger word, deep remorse. What do you make of that, and why are we seeing this?
Well, I think, unfortunately, the Japanese emperor is very restrained by the Constitution and by custom, and cannot give a forceful address, even like the Queen of England could do, or even the President of Germany could do. And so it's been very clear for decades. Once the Class A war criminals were put into Yasukuni Shrine, Emperor Hirohito refused to visit, and that was a clear statement that Japanese understood. But again, I wish the Japanese emperor could be more forceful and really helping, because he's a figure above politics, to really move this issue of the apology outside of partisan politics, because it's really an issue of moral politics.
Explain Yasukuni Shrine to us, its symbolism, its significance, and why it gets a lot of people angry every time top-level officials go visit this shrine.
I guess I have less problems, at least as an American, with the notion of honoring the war dead. But for me, I find it outrageous that Class A war criminals were interned there. I think they were not originally interned there, and this was a decision made by the Japanese government decades after the war ended. And after that decision was made to intern the war criminals in Yasukuni, the Emperor Hirohito refused to visit it, and I would refuse to visit the Yasukuni Shrine. I did once go to the Yasukuni Museum at the urging of one of my colleagues, and I would have to say its interpretation of World War II was at times very disturbing.
Let me ask you about Nanjing Massacre, the rape, the pillage, the slaughter of thousands, hundreds of thousands, some 300,000 Chinese by the Japanese Imperial Army. Clearly a dark chapter in history. Does it surprise you that the Nanjing Massacre has not gotten perhaps the same type of attention as other horrible things that have happened in history? Take Holocaust, for example.
I guess I would disagree. I mean, I've been very aware of that issue. Florida State also has a very good East Asian historian. So I think many Americans don't have a full sense of the massacre, at least now, although in the 1930s, it was one of the things that really did turn Americans against the Japanese on the eve of World War II. There was a lot of sympathy for China, even before the United States entered the war in 1941.
And do you see Japan and its Asian neighbors putting this dark chapter behind them when we still have not heard a formal apology from Shinzo Abe?
I hope that there can be a formal apology. I hope there can be peace treaties between China and Japan, and between Japan and Russia. I hope we could have a model like the model between Germany and Israel, where there's been a great deal of reconciliation, and part of that reconciliation was a formal apology.
Yep, it sure starts that way. Kurt Piehler, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, CCTV-America.com.